first thing we're going to do when protecting a piano from moving is pad the keys, the music rack, the stand, and the inner workings. Bring the pad in, but we have to bring the music rack down. Each of those is a little different, so just be cognizant. Slide it in and place the burlap over top. And then we'll wrap the burlap around the stand. We'll take the lid and close it. For the baby grands, we really just need one to start to cover the lid. Coming down slow, very slow. And we're gonna push the piano up into the air, high enough where I could get my hands underneath the piano board. Now the piano is kind of at a really good balancing point. I want it to be kind of flush. I want to not center though, because the weight is towards the keys. You want to make sure that the dolly meets the board before it goes to the ground. Then I'll push down a little. Hello, my name is Sean with Stumpf Moving and Storage, and today I'm going to teach you how to professionally disassemble and pad wrap a baby grand piano for moving. I want to let you know that we are professional piano movers. We've been in business since 1936, and we move about 500 pianos each and every year. With that said, we have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge that we're trying to share with you. If you guys find value in this video, if you learn something, please hit that like button, because it will help share this video with everybody else out there who's trying to learn how to professionally pad wrap and disassemble a grand piano for moving. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel for more videos about piano moving. With all that said, I want to remind you guys to please hire a professional piano mover. Moving a piano on your own is not an easy task. These are very heavy, cumbersome instruments that can hurt you if you're not trained properly. And at the very least, you could damage the instrument. We don't want either of those things to happen, so please hire a professional. This video is only meant to train our professional piano movers as they get onboarded and educate our prospective customers as to the importance of hiring a professional piano mover. So again, hire a professional. Don't do this yourself. Now, the first thing we're going to do when protecting a piano from moving is pad the keys, the music rack, the stand, and the inner workings all at once by using a synthetic pad or burlap, in the case of what we're using today, also known as a skin. Now, they're not squares, so we're going to make sure that we have them faced the long way. They are rectangles. And we'll place the inside down on the keys first. Then we'll bring the lid to the keys down and we'll press it into place. That helps hold this pad, the skin, where it needs to be. And then we'll give it a little flick like that. That will help bring the sides in. Bring the pad in, but we have to bring the music rack down. Each of those is a little different, so just be cognizant. Slide it in and place the burlap over top. Come around to the side. We'll let the stand lay down, and then we'll wrap the burlap around the stand. Okay. Once we've done that, we'll take the lid and close it. Now we have to move the piano so we can begin to disassemble it and place it onto the piano board. I'm trying to pick it up as I spin because the casters on pianos aren't the best. Now, typically you're going to have at least 3 people to move a grand piano. At least that's what we like to send, because you have one person in the front and the back controlling, and then you'll have one on the side holding the balance. Now, sometimes we will send more. It all depends on the situation and the type of piano. Now that we have the piano squared up and ready to be placed onto the board, we're going to pad it first. Now, to pad a baby grand piano, we're going to use regular movers pads. And for the baby grands, we really just need one to start to cover the lid. Once you get into your 7-foot and 9-foot grands, you're going to need two, but we'll just worry about the baby grands for today. You're going to, again, place the pad on the long way here because we want to make sure that we cover everything. You guys can see that we have a little bit of excess there. I want to bring it up because we don't want too much pad here, because it can give us a little bit of an uneven surface when it's placed onto the piano board. Now I'll go ahead and grab a mover's band. I've gone ahead and grabbed 3 moving bands. The first one, this red one, is a little bigger, and it's going to go around the perimeter. This is going to hold this pad into place. And we actually don't want any bunching, especially on the front, because if we do have that, we're going to have an uneven, lopsided piano when it goes onto the piano board, and we do not want that. We'll take a blue band, and we'll come across the front, just like that. This again helps hold the lid into place. And finally, we have one more. Okay. Just have to get it around that wheel there. And this also helps hold the pad and the lid in place. So you have 3 bands that are going to hold this pad in place, and 2 of them are holding the lid in place. Very important you don't skip that step. Now it's time to prep for disassembly. We're going to take another moving pad and we're going to fold it in half. So it's already folded like it should be on the truck when you have it stacked. It was folded in half one more time. We're going to place it underneath the lyre. And if you're wondering what a lyre is, that is the technical term for the pedals. So if you hear somebody say it's a lyre, well, they're talking about the pedals. Okay, so then we're going to slide that underneath in just a second. I'm going to do this a little bit differently because I don't have anybody to help me. If I would have somebody here to help, they would be lifting from the corner, but I don't. So I'm just using my shoulders to lift, and then I'm placing the pad under the lyre. A few key takeaways from doing that. You guys can really hurt yourself if you don't know what you're doing, so please don't try it. If you have a second person, you're going to lift from here just like this, and then you could slide the pad underneath without any problems. Now the next thing we'll do is we'll remove the leg and then place the piano onto the piano board. But before I do, I really want to talk about the lyre here. Guys, you guys can really damage the lyre if you don't know what you're doing here. There is a good possibility that if you have an older piano, the lyre could crack and break. You have to assess the lyre. Is it strong enough to do this? If you guys assess this situation here and you deem that the lyre is strong enough, even when we go ahead and put the piano down, we are making sure that we are not letting the lyre take the brunt of the piano's weight. We're assisting the piano down, okay? I want to be very clear that the lyre is not taking all of the weight of the piano. It's not acting as a complete fulcrum. If you guys want one of these piano boards for yourself, go ahead and take a look in the description below. We have it linked right there for you. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and put the piano on the piano board. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and remove the leg first. Now, in order to remove the leg, we have several screws, but there's just 2 actually on either side. Each piano is going to be a little different because manufacturers produce them a little bit differently, but it has a key lock style for the leg. I'll have to show you so you really understand, but I'm going to give it a little tap with the mallet, and there's that little key. So this slides into a keyhole on the bottom side here, and each leg is numbered. So we have number 2. So number 2 has to match up whenever we put it back together. Now I like to get our straps hooked up before I bring the piano down. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's another thing that I really like about the US Cargo Control piano boards. The older piano boards don't have the E-track connector that these ones do. And I really like that feature. It helps so much when we're trying to make sure that we have a good, strong, solid connection for the piano. We don't want the piano to be loose on the board. So your typical piano belts, sometimes, well, they don't hold as well. So I really like that we can use ratchet straps. Now I am going to twist this a little tighter because as the piano comes down, I'm going to click it in there. As the piano comes down here, if we don't tie that tighter, or if we don't have a shorter piece of strap here between the belt and the ratchet can end up on top of the piano. We don't want that. It's really just about preventing any damage to the piano. Okay, so now we're ready to bring the piano over. We've removed the leg. We have the piano board in place, and you guys, I'm going to bring you in for a closer look, but I have the piano board a little offset, and there's a reason for that, because when we bring the piano down, we want to make sure this corner makes contact with the board. But when that happens, the angles are going to shift, and the piano is going to be a little offset. That's what I'm talking about when I have a little bit of an angle. Now, you guys can see that the piano board is back a little bit. That's because I want to make sure that I'm making contact and that I'm not going to accidentally hit the butt of the piano board, and that's what this L part is here. This is called the butt, and we want to make sure that this end of the piano is going to make contact right around that section of the piano board. And then it's offset because the rest of the piano is going to end up making contact at a slightly different angle. So it's all about working your angles. We're ready to bring it down. Where do I put my hands? Well, I'll tell you right now. You're going to make sure that your hands are further to the left here as you can, because if you come down here, you're in a pinch point. And then my right hand is going to be up under the keys. So my left hand is here, and my right hand is under the keys. Nothing is in this pinch point because you will smash your fingers or break them. So we're ready to come over. I'm just putting a little pressure, and I'm watching my angles. It looks like we're good. Coming down slow, very slow. Okay. All right, guys. Now it's time to bring the piano up. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adjust just a hair. Just a hair. I'll bring that board out just a little bit. We don't want the lid to make contact with the piano board. If you do, you will crack the lid and you will break the hinges. So you want to make sure that you are not on the lid. And we're going to push the piano up. Okay. You guys can see that we're just a little bit off, and that's fine because I'm going to bring the piano over to my right. As you guys can see that the piano is a little bit to the left. That's totally fine. The main thing is we did not want the lid to make contact, and being that I'm by myself, it's a little hard to see the angles. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the piano here, wrap my fingers around the lid, and I'm really just using my forearm to hold pressure as I put my right foot up against the piano board so the piano board does not slide. And then I'm going to grab where the lyre is, putting my leg up against the lid of the keys, and I'm just going to bring it over. Okay. Now the lid is not on the board. it is hanging over the board. And now we're going to go. Now the next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to push the piano up so that the keys make contact with the butt. Now typically, if you had your helper, they would put their foot here and hold the piano board in place because they like to slide, especially if you're on some of these stages. You can also do that however you feel comfortable, but you really have to keep your foot there to make sure the piano and the board don't slide together. You just want the piano to slide on the board. Let's see if this works for me today. We're all the way up against the butt. Perfect. Couldn't get any better than that. I am going to keep it out just a hair from the butt because we're going to continue to pat it. And we're going to need a few movers pads to do that. Okay. We're going to take this one here and we're going to hold it up and down and we're going to drape it over top of the piano. And tuck it down in there. Now we could push the piano back up. We wanted to make sure that the keys had all the protection possible. Okay, we're all the way up. We're going to grab one more pad, drape it around the front here. So we're trying to add protection to the front. Okay. This, as we bring it around here, is no different than any other piece that we would be padding, from an upright piano to a dresser. It's all kind of the same motion and technique. We just bring the excess around it up and lay it on top. Okay. Now we're going to go around to the back end and we're going to disconnect the legs and the lyre. As I've said before, each manufacturer is slightly different. So you're just going to have to take a look and see what you have and assess the situation. Okay. Now this one's a little tricky. We're going to have to tap down, I believe. Yep. At the same time, I have to keep my hands on these here because they could pop out and fall. We don't want them getting scratched. So now that this is out of the way, we can work on the legs. Don't worry about tapping the legs of the piano. The piano is going to need to get tuned anyways after moving. So we have our pads on the piano. We're going to take two more pads, fold them long ways so they're long and skinny. We're going to bring them up and onto the piano here, and this protects the edges of the piano. Sometimes they like to slide, so what we'll do is I'll bring this one over first. It'll help hold the rest of the pads in place as I get the last one. And I'll bring my bands in at the same time. So again, long ways, and I'll be working towards the front and up with this one. And it's staying in place nicely. I have two rubber bands here. I have a green one, which is smaller, and I have the blue one, which is longer, so the green one's going to stay up top, where it'll hold this nice tight place. The blue one, I'm going to go all the way down towards the bottom. Okay. Now that I have the bands in place, make sure that we have coverage everywhere. Nothing's not being covered. We don't want a tripping hazard either, so we could pull these up a little bit. You know, adjust things as you need to, guys. You don't We don't want to have a tripping hazard either, you know. So then we'll take our ratchets, bring them over. Now when you guys weren't looking, I connected them in the front. And I tied a knot in the strap on the front here because we don't want this ratchet coming in contact with the piano. But we don't want to go too tight with the ratchet because you could damage the piano. No need to act like Superman or Lou Ferrigno. It's no need for that, guys. Okay, we're good there. Go ahead and click this one in. And guys, if you don't know how to use a ratchet strap, there's no shame in that. Go ahead and click or tap the screen right now. If you missed that, I have a link to a video that teaches you how to use a ratchet strap right down there in the description below. Go ahead, make sure you learn how to use them, because if they're not done correctly, they could open up on you and it could be a bad day. So make sure you know how to use a ratchet strap. And then I take the excess and I just tuck it out of the way. Now we have a perfectly padded and protected grand piano on that US Cargo Control piano board. But I still have to get it up and onto a dolly. And you guys are lucky. You're gonna learn how one person can lift a piano and place a dolly by themselves. But typically you're gonna have 2 people or 3. So that second person will be back here holding the board with their foot there and their arms wrapped around the piano, bear hugging it in an athletic way, and left hand on the ratchet strap here and right hand on the backside ratchet strap. And you guys are going to be able to hold the balance, and you have to be kind of aggressive with this, just like you would be in sports. So you don't want this to fall, and you can't kind of be like standing around with your hands in your pockets. You guys got to be semi-aggressive and into this. You can't just lollygag, you know what I mean? So put your foot at the butt so that the board doesn't slide when the guy on the other end is lifting it up, because if it slides, the piano's going to slide, drop, and then your buddy over there is going to be on his belly like Superman flying through the air. So we want to make sure that we get this up safely, and I'll show you guys how I would do it. So the nice thing about the US Cargo Control piano board is that it has these straps here so we can lift, and we could also run our hump strap through. So if we have a longer piano, we don't have to fight our arms. We could use the hump strap to help lift. But we're going to go ahead and I'm going to grab one on each side here, and I'm going to lift with my legs, not my back. Please lift with your legs and not your back. And I have my shoulder into the piano a little bit, but I'm really going to be lifting with my legs up into the air, high enough where I could get my hands underneath the piano board. Now the piano is kind of at a really good, balancing point here, so I could relax a little bit. I could get the dolly over to where I need it to be. I want it to be kind of flush. I want to not center though, because the weight is towards the keys. And as you guys can see, as it's coming down, I use my foot to lift the dolly up. You want to make sure that the dolly meets the board before it goes to the ground. Then I'll push down a little. And there you go, guys. That's really all there is to it. With that being said, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want one of these piano boards for yourself, don't forget we have it linked in the description below right there for you. Please hit that like button, because it helps share this video with other people who are interested in piano moving and want to learn about it. And while you're at it, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the other videos that we have regarding piano moving or the moving and storage industry in general. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.